even when we do our multiple, person with tracking, whether in the scenario we may give Terry, it may be from a kid that ran away or a person that just did a burglary and go out. No matter what, Nadja is looking just for the scent and find the scent, which is why a dog like Nadja you don't deploy without a leash to where she can just go into a wood area and find. That's a dog that tracks on a 6 foot to 12 foot lead. That way, no matter what, the dog literally, if you were standing over by the flag, about the time she gets here, she'll alert. That gives the officer the chance to deal with you. So the dog doesn't even have to have personal one-on-one contact with it. Now on the other side, you asked me about a deployable dog. Deployable dogs, where you see an officer pulls the dog out the car, releases the dog. The dog is totally on its own to go find it. Special rescue dogs aren't programmed like that. They're programmed to find the scent, and when they get close, they give an indication to the officer, and the officer can decide whether or not that person is, a threat or not.
Once you've reached a certain level of expertise with the handler and the dog, what type of reoccurring training or refresher training is it? Does that training last for time, or how much revisiting the training?
No, there's some trainers, basing the imprint of the dog is the easy part, and the dog will keep doing it for the life of the dog. It's the handler that you have to keep abreast on.
They're the ones that get old and wear out.
Yeah, and the best thing that we always try to do, our imprint training sets up, the dog is set up, and like I told Terry on many occasions, the dog pass, but you haven't passed yet, is always our favorite one, because the dog, it indicates that the bottle has something in it, and the officer doesn't see that one little indication the dog hits, and we all laugh because the dog did his job. So after that, it's continuous training no matter what. As long as you have a dog in the department, because things change, standards change, the way we set up for especially search and rescue environments change. We try to stay out of using inside areas such as this only. All of our training is done outside in the environment that you're in. We try to train in the districts that the dogs are in, and then we take them out to further areas where the dog may not be adjusted. So you have a dog that has gone from street tracking between in a community to doing forest reserve work to doing marsh work. Even if your area may not have that, but you never know if it's a heavy rain that washes out, it gives you the same type of setting as a marsh area. So we make sure that our officers understand too that when they're out, it's not a game. This isn't free time, this isn't relaxed time. You're in class, and class is always in session. So we make sure the officers themselves understand that they have to do a job too. It's not just letting the dog just work and you sit them at a cup of coffee, walking the dog. So we try to make sure that it's always joint. I know we put in about 40 hours almost a month sometimes, depending upon how change things, and they're always scenario-based training. So we never do any type of lecture work. We always set up a scenario to go, and then we look for other agencies that I know that had certain situations happening where we produce those scenarios for other agencies.
So the dog gets repeat training?
Yes, and also.
And 40 hours a month training?
Of course, it depends on the agency what the dog is capable. Each dog is different. Each handler is different. But we don't close our doors to officers that want to train. Many officers train on their off time too. It's just not on time. Some officers train during their hour break because their departments don't have the time span to get them for training. A canine handler is not a typical officer that looks at it as a job. It is a love for what they do, and it cuts into their personal time. You're taking this dog home, this dog is part of your family, and when you have to train, if your department can allot you the time, because you're scheduling, they have to do it on their own. So they give up a lot from their family to do that. It's a serious business being a canine handler. It's not for the faint-hearted, and we do not necessarily certify dogs by handlers that I don't think they're accepted in the job. That's what people know me most for. I'll turn down the handler. I'll tell the department that the handler is not capable of handling the dog.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Most of you know me on a first-name basis. I'm Larry Mel, trustee of Round Lake Beach, and I'm here tonight in support for your canine. We have a dog in Round Lake Beach, Gunner. Gunner is a trained killer, and we've had Gunner for a few years. One of the problems is right now, our handler is on medical leave. Gunner is out of commission. He lives with Officer Ritter. And I'm here especially to thank you for something that happened this week. We had National Night Out on Tuesday night in Round Lake Beach. You had your community here too, in Round Lake and Round Lake Park. The thing is, we had over 2,000 people, and how I know that is We had over 1,800 hot dogs we gave out, chips and water. We had a car show with about 50 cars. We had a band playing. We had some commercial business. But the highlight of the evening was Nadja was there. And I've seen Nadja's routine before. And yes, Nadja was there filling in for Governor. And I'm going to thank you. We really appreciate it. The whole idea about National Night Out, you've touched on about it, is interaction between the kids and the officers. We had all of our police officers from the beach there. We want the children to understand that they can go to the police and that they can be their friend. It was a great night. You know, we will take our streets back to the police. The dog did a very good routine. I had kids running up to me. I was happy. I had a little car in the car show, but they were more concerned. They wanted to give me one of their cards that Nadja had, you know, and they were excited about it. In Red Lake Beach, I've been a trustee for 16 years. We've got 5 school districts. We've got 2 fire districts. We've got 2 townships. We've got 2 library districts. But we only have 1 park district for the whole community. And that dog represents each and every one of us in all of our communities. I don't know what the other gentleman was talking about. I do know that dogs are different. Our dog's a killer. This dog goes after guns. And I know he's found guns, and he does different things. But he represents the Rail Lake area park district. And, you know, I've sat in your chair before, and I do it every month. And I know you've got a hard decision. I just hope that you support the dog, continue to support the dog, and let the dog be a representative of the total Red Lake area.
I'm Margaret Call. I run my own dog training school for 30 years.
Can you please tell us where you live?
I'm at 24279 Hart Road, Round Lake, Illinois.
Thank you.
And I was secretary for the Chicago Park District for dog training for 15 years under William Bill Cocker. Of course, this is many years ago, but I don't know if you have any questions about what a dog really does if it's a well-trained dog. Well, why am I saying that? You have dog training classes here, so you do appreciate somebody giving the time to train a dog rather than not. In the 30 years that I have had my dog training school, we have never had a fight accident. But that really depends on your instructor. If you have somebody that really knows the dog and the people who are bringing the dog in, you know how to handle a situation. Now, to me, you have a better chance of somebody coming in that door with their dog to be trained, because why are they here? Their dog isn't trained. You have a better chance of being bitten going to a class in a park district than you do with Nadja, a trained dog. Dogs are used for everything. They can sit up, answer. They just do all kinds of work you would not believe. They're just such a valuable commodity for the community. How many people know that Nadja has found children that have been missing? They take a helicopter out to find a dog, to find a child. This dog can find the child before they helicopter. I just wanted to say, please consider what the dog has done for our community. Thank you so much.
I'd like to, my name is Paul Levitt from WRLR Radio here in Round Lake Heights. I'd like to read this letter and then submit it to the record, if that's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Thank you. To the Round Lake Park District Board of Commissioners. This letter is a testimonial responding to the motion concerning retaining the services of Nadja, the police dog of Round Lake Park, Police Officer Terry Kaminski, the dog's handler. I am in favor of their retention. Nadja, in her history, has obtained very extensive training and has developed unique, specialized talents in search and recovery. Since August 2011, she has recovered 9 missing children in the Round Lake area, has come to the aid of countless other children and adults throughout her career. She has a unique tolerance in dealing with special needs children and takes special care in answering to their needs. She is gentle, non-threatening amongst the general public, yet when called to duty, she is bound and determined to fulfill her commands from Officer Terry with steely resolve. The working relationship between Nadja and Officer Terry is outstanding. Through their teamwork and excellent camaraderie, they have successfully recovered more than 15 weapons in searches since August 2011, oftentimes when no weapon was anticipated for discovery or recovery. They have performed over 30 drug and weapon searches throughout Lake County schools, sometimes with positive results, enabling the area's children to be safer in their schools. I am petitioning you, the Board of Commissioners, to keep Nadja and Officer Terry on active duty and retain their vital roles so that they can assist in securing the safety of our law-abiding citizens. They have been called upon, based on their outstanding reputation, for assistance from South Suburban Alsip in Illinois to Southeast Wisconsin, even recently to assist in the investigation of the Sikh temple tragedy in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, just south of Milwaukee. It is in the Round Lake area's best interest to find ways to address the liability issues regarding Nadja and Officer Terry so that they remain on the front line with their excellent capabilities of protecting the general public and its children. I thank you for having me read this testimonial and consideration in this matter. Thank you.
My name's Ian Abernathy. I live at 111 Ferndale. I am not here representing a group, however, I am a scout leader. I want to just make some brief comments about how Nadja has been an example to, Nadja and Officer Terry have been an example to our scouts coming out to do demonstrations. The boys, and I see some Girl Scouts around here too, so I'm sure the girls, but specifically about the boys, they learn a lot about citizenship and about how to be an asset to your community from watching examples such as Nadja and Terry. They learn how to be a good citizen from a dog. You don't normally get that opportunity, and that's exactly what you have here, is an opportunity that the area is taking advantage of. And I would just like to say that I hope that you'll continue to allow that example to be an opportunity for all of the people in the area, not just my scouts. Thank you.
I am a volunteer, but I come here on my own. I represent myself. I'm a mother of 4.
Your name?
My name is Chris Pestovich. I'm in Ingleside, Illinois. I do volunteer, and I've gotten to know Officer Kaminski and Nadja through my volunteer work. I have never seen such a positive impact to this community with these 2 on board. They are a duo. They need to be kept together. Being a mother, knowing that this dog has located 9 children in 11 months is astounding. There is no way a human being can track down someone as quick as this dog. She has beautiful skills, she is fully trained, and she helps bond the law enforcement community to the citizens of the county. If there is a liability issue, if it needs investigation and resolving, I have been working since I've been 16. I'm an old woman. I will be more than happy to join the board, problem solve this, do what it takes to keep her on the streets. Don't ask me any questions. I have a shepherd. I love her. Same thing, but believe me, nothing compared to Nadja. But that's why my dog doesn't get to do what Nadja does. Anyways, I just want to say I think she's a valuable asset. Her and Terry are a dynamic duo. You really need to continue to keep her here. She is an asset to this community, and you should be proud for having her on your board because she is just awesome, and Terry is awesome too. And there's a lot of good feelings between the community and these people. people and the district because of all of this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Kleiner, and I own Letters for You, and I run Children of Fallen Riders, and we provided Terry with his Kevlar vest. We donated it to him. And I guess as a board, I have a question for you guys. Are you all parents? If you'd raise your hands, if anybody is parent, grandparent. And I live in Island Lake, and I understand that Nadja was part of, she stopped the Canine issue down there. And as parents, I'm curious how you can't even wrap your head around something like that as an issue. Would you rather have the tragedy and the community healing from that, or would you rather take any kind of liability that the community obviously is ready to support you? I think you should take that into consideration. I think he's a great asset, and he's a great man, and the dog is awesome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sonia Garcia. I live on 209 West Hawthorne Drive, Round Lake Beach. And I'm a Girl Scout leader of Troop 40566. Our girls are brownies. And with the help of Nadja, our girls were able to earn their animal patch. At no time did we see Nadja as a threat. She was very friendly to all our girls. And we would be devastated if you guys removed her. We love Nadja. Girls, do any of you want to say anything? We love Nadja. Really.
Good evening, my name is Elena Lara, and I'm representing the Round Lake Library tonight. I do have a letter I'd like to read that I can submit for testimony. The Round Lake Area Public Library was honored this past April to have Nadja and Officer Terry as part of our annual Pet Expo. Each April, shelters, animal rescue, search and rescue groups, and other animal-related organizations come to the library offering information and up-close encounters with various animals for our patrons. Nadja and Officer Terry parked their vehicle outside our building and for over 2 hours presented to our patrons what they do best. Nadja performed a variety of routines which she performs while on the job. Officer Terry explained to the audience what they do as a team and that they attend functions like ours to better educate the public about safety. Our patrons were extremely pleased with Nadja and Officer Terry. We heard many, many compliments about them and how they wanted this team to be back next year. I hope they will be able to come visit us in 2013 because they show what teamwork is all about. And if they are on the job to help find lost children, they would be the best ones to do that job. We hope to see them again soon at the Round Lake Library. Thank you.
I will be interpreting things this evening. Okay, she lives on Rosedale.
What was her name?
What was her? Her name is
My name is Gabriela Aguirre,
Gabriela Aguirre.
and my son is Tomás Aguirre.
And her son is Tomás Aguirre.
Estoy aquí porque yo quiero,
She is here because she needs Nadja.
porque él me ha ayudado, se me ha perdido.
Officer Kaminski and Nadja together have helped find Tomás. Tomás has run away 5 times,
Always igual,
and he always wants to run away.
él me ha ayudado mucho.
And every time Nadja has found him. She appreciates all of Nadja's help, and she needs Nadja. The last time they found Tomás, he was right by Round Lake Beach, getting ready to go into the water. And that happened very late at night. And we just need Nadja. We can't lose her. Thank you.
8 years, been a canine handler for RLA for the last 6. Just wanted to say that police dogs are, at their base, they are locating tools. They're just specially trained to locate but not bite. My dog is different. My dog is trained to bite. So we serve 2 completely different purposes. And like I said, they're at the basis, they're locating tools for law enforcement or for the public. But there's so much more than that because the community loves them. There's great tools that build the bond between the law enforcement and the communities. And I'm losing my dog, and I don't want to see Round Lake lose too. So, thank you.
My name is Michael Henderson. I live in McHenry.
You have to speak a little louder. 'Cause
Okay, my name is Michael Henderson.
Sure, they can hear
I live in McHenry. Really, I don't even understand why we're here. Having an asset like Nadja is kind of one of those things that's like a no-brainer. You need dogs in a police department, especially dogs that are trained to do things like Nadja. Find people, friendly finds. You can't send an attack dog in a friendly find. It's not trained for that. It doesn't know to go find a kid and bring it back and do so safely. A dog like Nadja is trained for that. The things that I've seen go on, Terry putting his time and effort and everything else like that into, training the dog, working with the dog, the amount of just community support that the dog has. The fact that this is even up for debate to me is kind of ludicrous because the dog's already proved itself. Terry's already proved himself. Like, you just look at the track record of the individuals together and what they've done. And it's frustrating to even think that we wouldn't want something like that on a police force out there helping us out there. Their job is to keep us safe. So the reason that we supposedly pay taxes and do all this stuff is to keep us safe. So why would we want to take out an asset that keeps us safe? What's going to replace that? Are we going to hire more officers in order to try to pick up the slack of locating things? Or how do you replace an asset like Nadja and Terry in a police force? You can't really do that except for adding another dog and handler. I don't understand how you can justify taking something like that out of a police force and out of the community and out of the arsenal as an asset for the law enforcement community. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So that's just all I have to say about that. Thank you.
I'm Officer Dave Cheney from Round Lake PD. I'm military for 11 years now. We used to work in the jail together. A little bit, just to speak on him. He's always, since I've known him, gone above and beyond. I know he's gotten grants for the department. So I know he saved a lot of money that way. And to go back, to the dog as an asset, like Officer Stevens said, we may lose our dog soon. So it's pretty difficult. And it's a huge asset to have, and hate to see him go. Yeah.
I'd like to thank everybody that gave their public comment today. I appreciate all of your comments. They're very heartfelt, and they are going to be all taken under consideration. So, your approval of the agenda?
Any changes?
No changes.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Jennings. Aye. Commissioner Arlen.
Aye.
Commissioner Pasternak.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bloom.
That is approved.
Very good, thank you.
first item you have is Huebner 10-year plan. Attached to find the 10-year plan is approved by the representatives from the Huebner Fishery Management Foundation.
I make that.
Just make time.
Let's make that.
Good for you.
I think there's gonna be some terrific programs in here. I think the kids in the community are really gonna appreciate the ability to do these things.
A lot of good stuff.
I might even get in a canoe.
I'm gonna start kayaking.
I have to learn how to swim first.
Yeah, well.
No, I'm kidding.
One of the gentlemen that was talking about counts, we have multiple, trustee Mount, we have multiple school districts, we have multiple communities that call themselves Round Lake. We only have one Round Lake that we all share, the Round Lake Park District. And the fact that we've been honored with the Human Trust Human Foundation, and the fact that Frank and the staff have pulled together a tremendous report here, or plan here, that outlines how we can preserve, protect, enhance this natural resource that we all share is outstanding here. And so this seems like it's going to provide us the opportunity to give the lake, our natural resource that we all share, the attention that it needs. So, I mean, it's a tremendous report, a lot of detail, tremendous programming opportunities.
I think he'd be very proud of what we're doing. I mean, you can do anything with this?
No, it's there strictly for informational.
Wonderful. Good job,
All right.
Frank.
There's no questions. Moving on. Next item is Ranger Police Canine Search and Rescue. Thing that you're all here for tonight. Attached board, you'll find the recommendation from Chief Calademus and Park District Attorney Adam Simon regarding the future use of Officer Terry's Canine Nadja. Staff has included copies of past minutes as well as the agreement with Officer Kaminski regarding the use of his dog. The results that Nadja has achieved are nothing short of miraculous in many occasions. Her ability and agility is not what's in question, nor is Officer Kaminski handling of his search and rescue dog what's in question. What is in question is potential liability to the Park District regarding the lack of insurance for Nadja in the event of a lawsuit. The DERMA, which is our insurance agency as a Park District, we're not part of IRMA, does not insure dogs for canine police. Issues of misunderstanding resulting from Officer Kaminski not clearly defining the role of the Park District to his base of followers and fans have skewed what originally was set as allowed and authorized by the Park District and what our role as an agency is. I remind you also from earlier discussions that police dogs are generally owned by agencies, not individual officers. Round Lake, are we correct in that assumption? Thank you. I would also ask the board to please review the attached minutes from the February 10th, 2011 meeting regarding the use of Nadja and expectations given to the Ranger Police regarding the use of the dog. Upon reviewing those, it really leaves a couple of things that you can do as a board. We can go on as we always have and hope that there's never any issues. And everything is duly noted. Officer Kaminski can purchase insurance from an independent insurance company for his dog, not the public dog or the Park District dog, and that's one of the misperceptions that's out there. This dog is not owned or an officer or even been recognized as an official representative of the Park District. Written quotes were received from Officer Kaminski on Tuesday, 8/7/12, which lists him and Nadja insured, but not the Park District. I followed up when Terry did that. There would be potential for them to list us additionally insured. The attorneys are reviewing those. There's no rating on this insurance company. Their primary focus on insurance. Terry, I'll look to you, please.
Am I allowed to comment on everything or just answer your question?
You're going to answer my question, please, because I'm talking about the insurance.
I spoke to, it was...
The question is, can I answer the question first, please?
Yes, please.
The question is, they primarily provide, they do some search dogs, but their primary focus is wild animals.
Yes.
Extraordinary animals. That's what I'm getting at. It's just saying,
Correct.
trying to give a feel for the insurance company that was founded is out of mainland, Midland, Florida. The third option, which in the opinion of the attorneys is the best option for Officer Kaminski, his dog in the Park District. That was originally approved back in 2011. They could join the Civilian Search and Rescue Group. The original plan was for Officer Kaminski to join the Illinois-Wisconsin Search Dog Group, which would have then provided insurance. It was not going to be a police dog. That was stressed by you guys as a board, that you wanted a dog that could be used for search and rescue when needed, but not a partner, not a canine unit, as what's in discussion tonight. This would allow Terry to continue working with the Lake County community and protect all parties involved, which once again, nobody up here is questioning the benefit of that, but it's what is the role of the Park District in providing for that. With that, I will turn it over to you, the board, for any questions.
Why did you not get into that group?
Ma'am, I trained with them for 6 months, and on the 6th meeting, they said they would not vote me in because I was a police officer, and they felt they'd be training their own replacement. They love Nadja. Nadja passed everything. I would also like to add that I was allowed and authorized to put that training on my time card, so the Park District does have a little more invested into it than is being let out. And when I get a moment to make my comment on that matter, I will. I hope I answered your question.
I don't think we're opposed to the dog. I mean, I think the dog has done, I've never personally seen the dog. I'm not a dog person. Don't be mad at me.
Too bad.
But I've heard a lot of good things.
Thank you.
But I don't think that that's the issue. My responsibility as a board member is for the financial future of our park district. And everybody can talk about dogs don't bite. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come with a dog and runs up to me and they go, oh, they don't bite. You're like, well, how do I know that for sure? And I realize the training and all the rest of that. But we as a board can't jeopardize the financial future of our park district. We love this dog. I mean, I think it does a great service in the community, but we have to look at it that way. I mean, that's our responsibility in the community. You would not want us to spend our money foolishly. We have never asked you for a referendum in the history of our park district. Now, you can't say that about other communities. There are lots of other communities that have park departments that have to ask for money all the time from you. We have not done that because we want to live within our means. And it's all well and good that the dog services the whole Lake County community, but it's the taxpayers of this community who are paying for it. So, I mean, I think there's a real need for this dog to be in some kind of independent organization, like maybe Mobile Eye or something that's not affiliated with any police department, any park district, so it can go and do the things it needs to do throughout the county. That then doesn't put the burden on the park district. And how many people live in this district that are here tonight? How many people are taxpayers in the district? The taxpayers into our park district, because we're a separate taxing body, so into our park district. Okay. I mean, how do you feel about your tax dollars being used to service? I mean, it's a goodwill thing. I'll grant you that. It's a goodwill thing. But how do you feel about how would you feel if we said, you know what, we're going to start having swim lessons at somebody else's park district, and their kids are going to come up here and swim in our pool for the same price that the residents pay?
I think we need to go back to the beginning.
Okay, go back to the beginning.
It's not a money issue.
It's a liability issue.
It's not a liability issue. I mean, that's part of it, but I think we need to go back to the beginning. When we were approached as a board, we approved Terry studying and taking the dog and learning to have search and rescue. The board was directed and said that we had no problem with Terry doing that, but that the dog would remain at home and that the dog would be Terry's. And that's, as a board, that's what we were told, that's the way it was. For you to say now that you used your park district time and were paid to go for training, that's not something that we as a board know of or knew of. But from the beginning, there was no apprehension on this board for you to go further with your search and rescue. What now is coming down, as far as what I see, is the liability issue. That yes, you are going out in a park district vehicle as a park district employee with the dog. That's the issue that we have. That's the issue that's gone to our attorneys. That's the issue that's gone to our risk management company. So that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at the value of you or the dog. We know the value of you, Terry. We had that value before the dog was here. We knew you are a valued employee before you had the dog. What we're looking at, and I know that we started to talk about a money issue, but it's not the money issue. It's the issue all along that we were not, as a board or as a district, were not involved in getting the dog.
Well, ma'am,
you are using Park District time for your training, that you are using Park District time to go out into the community. And I don't have a problem with that. For all the years that I've been on the board, the Park District Rangers were to be community service. We're not a police agency. Although we say Round Lake Ranger Police, what we've always told and what we've directed our staff is that they're a community service, they're assistance to other departments. And I think that we need to go back, and Tim can talk too, and I'm not going to control this, but my notes to myself when everyone came up here was that this is Terry's dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And that it's not a Park District dog. And that's where our issue is. Not the
Correct.
value of you, not the value of the dog.
She is my dog. She will always be my dog.
Right.
However, there is a 5% working standard in this country where the canine handlers for all their agencies own their dog. It might be a small number, but it's yet still a working standard.
But that's not a point that I have. My point is from the beginning, when you first approached this board,
Ma'am.
was that the dog was yours and that you were going to do it as a separate thing.
I've actually
And-
never been able to approach you guys on the dog. I've never stood in front of you and ever answered any questions. This is the most questions about my canine I've ever answered. And actually, this is only the second board I've ever sat behind. And as well as after we got the training, am I okay to continue?
Yeah.
All right, I was permitted to study a certain, and the only reason why I'm saying this is so everybody's clear on the same note. We were able to train with the Illinois-Wisconsin Canine team for a search and rescue program to extend our CODAP to assist in finding missing kids. After that went through and they was through, we did 1 month at tops. I was granted permission and authorization to also train while on duty 2 hours in the morning to go. And when I went to tops. After that, I went to Jose Giovanni, that gentleman that spoke with you earlier from Blacksmith Canine, where we certified the dog. And I know if her certifications or her abilities are not the question. She is certified in the state of Illinois as law enforcement canine. After that certification, my chief held a picnic or a barbecue where you guys advertised her as the very first search dog that's certified at the Park District. And then we sent out area-wide informations and bulletins to all the police agencies saying that she was available. I didn't, my agency did. That is the reason why we're called out. Now, during me doing these demonstrations, letters of appreciation were forwarded to you as the board with the notes from my boss, updating you guys of all the events, all the demonstrations, all the fines. So for the past year, you've been more than kept up on what we've been doing.
You know, I thank you, Councilor Chair. Let's keep it so what?
Okay.
Looking back, you spent time, you know what, you're in the community. All right. Again, looking forward, one of the speakers mentioned about this being an asset. Now, 2 years ago, did we plan this in our master plan? No. Did it fall upon us? Yeah. Now what are we going to do with it? Well, I've been on this board for 6 years, 7 years or so, and we've never had to have this many chairs. We represent, yes, Chris, we're here to maintain the financial viability of the district, but not only that, we're here to service the needs of all. We're here to service the needs of the people, and I've heard some, very heartfelt, and I think Jenny recognizes as well, there's been some very heartfelt comments here, very sincere comments, an outpouring of support for an asset that none of us would have 3 years ago said we planned for. But the fact that we have it now, again, keep it simple, look forward. What are we going to do with that asset? Well, it sounds like the public is extremely strong support. It sounds like from a track record of 11 months, 12 months, the service that our ranger and the ranger's partner have provided to the community is immeasurable. The examples about the young lady and her son. I'll put $12,000 in my pocket and pay for it just so.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, 12,000.
That'll be on your tax.
I'll help you.
It ain't about the money. Right. And, when we get down to what it would cost for liability, figure out, none liability discussions and insurance. You know, this is a community, we do service 5 different communities, and the fact that we have an asset here that has been proven 100 times over with the people just showing up here, that an asset that has been well integrated and a member of the community and is seamlessly part of the park district, whether we authorize it as a police dog or not, says that, you know, we as a board, we owe it to these people, we owe it to Thomas to figure this out. And you know what, if 4 years after now, gosh forbid, Terry decides to move on, or we lose Nadja, then we come back and revisit it and say, does the Round Lake Area Park District want to replace that asset? Well, now we have that hard discussion we could have had when we were thinking about it as a master plan. But that's later. The fact that we have it now, do we take full advantage of it? I'd say, hell yeah.
I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go
I
ahead.
apologize if I was rude or crass at all. I understand that you guys have a very hard position. I mean, you can hear, listen to everybody's heartfelt stories and the feelings and the stories and emotions. That has to be separated when you have to make your decision. I understand that. I understand you're responsible fiscally and for everybody's well-being here in the park district. I understand that too. But this is not a hobby. This will never be a hobby. A canine handler is what I am and what I do. I can have anybody in the world attest to that. If that dog was a pet, it wouldn't be doing what we do. And that's why maybe I get a little bit emotional about that. But let me ask you this. If she is a hobby, why were you also concerned so much about my hobby that you wanted to hear about it every month?
It was given to us by your chief. So, we
I
asked
guarantee you the parents of the 9 children don't feel it's a hobby.
and I guarantee that as well. And however, again, you have to look at it from the beginning. From the beginning, which is signed, of course, we all agreed upon at the beginning. This was not the intention of Officer Kaminski to have this happen. He was going to start doing this. We agreed that he would be allowed to use his car as transportation for the dog, his personal use on his personal time. We agreed upon that. We had no problem, we don't have a problem with the dog. Love dogs, love them, not an issue. I'd be grateful if I had the use of Nadja to find a child if I needed, absolutely. The issue that we're having at this point is, where do we draw the line? The line has to get drawn from a park district standpoint. We have rangers. We do not have a police force. That is the Round Lake Police Department. That is where my tax dollars go for Officer Stevens' dog to go and find whatever needs to be found in my area.
I have a question on that real quick. So basically, if Officer Terry and Nadja are taken out of the park district,
Officer Terry is not being taken out of the park district.
okay,
That has
if
nothing to do
Nadja,
with it.
well, as a team, they're being taken out of the
Well,
park
they were
district.
never a team in the park district, so let's get
Okay.
that straight. So let's
Okay,
get
so
it
I
straight.
understand that.
He
So
was never a team.
without Nadja being available to the park district, the park district now has no intention of filling any type of role with that, so there's no longer going to be...
It's never been a role. His role responsibility, according
what
to
I'm-
our ranger's office.
What I'm asking is, do you guys have any plans to make, or what's going to be available should someone be lost in the park district? Should there be a child or someone lost? What are the plans in which that asset is no longer available? What do you guys plan on doing
Prior to
in order to
October
fill that
2011,
void that's no longer
what
going to
did
be
we
there?
do?
We have normal protocols in Code 11. We have a lose a child, if the child can't find it. We have protocols in place within the park district that I'm very comfortable with, based on the performance of staff to find the child. It's called Code 11. The Canine is an added benefit. So we still have plans in place, protocols in place.
Just remember, Nadja came into play in 2011 when he started going through training. Prior to 2011, the park district ran on its own prior to this.
I understand that, but it sounds like it's been exponentially more effective with the addition of a dog. And if you have no intention, like it sounds to me that there's the whole liability issue. But if you ever intend on introducing a dog into the park district, it seems like now would be the best time to take advantage of the opportunity, being that you have one that's already trained, it's already available to you. You don't have to pay for any additional expenses in getting it up to speed to have it available as an asset. All of that's already taken care of. So should there be a time that you're looking to introduce an asset such as Nadja to the park district, right now would probably be the best time to do it. That makes the most sense to me anyway.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, if it's never been thought of, why is it being thought of now? And according to and referencing the chief here, from what I just said, he said he's comfortable with the stuff that's out there. What if the community's not comfortable with it at all? What if they're not doing a very good job of what's going on? We want to improve it.
Well, the chief is going to
respond to that first. As I said earlier, I am very patient to analyze protocol. I've been in this for 30 years. The park district has and continues to have very good protocol in searching for children that become lost. So I don't have a problem with performance of our staff. Terry came to me after the fact with his canine. I thought it was an added benefit. I'm an optional guy. And since that time, I encouraged it. And since that time, this has grown exponentially very large. And I hang my head on fiscal responsibility of the park district. Now, we've had to cut. I had to cut 33% of my budgets, which affected family personnel. So I had to make a decision to support the canine or to support people. I support people. So my recommendation to the board is to discontinue funding anything, any possibility of insurance. It's my recommendation to the board.
Do you know what the funding is that's happening here, money dollar-wise? What do we have?
I had to cut my budget 33%.
She didn't take up 33%.
Still, a whole lot.
If she was to say, what would that
Let me
be?
add one other thing. In his search, he found that it would cost $1,625 for $1 million coverage.
Per year?
Per year.
I'll raise it for him.
Well, but that's not the point.
That is the point.
Okay.
Listen up, it's getting out, it's gonna get out of hand. My point is, I cut my budget 33%, $1,625, they would pay that should go towards the families and not the dog. No.
Dog is helping families.
Terry, if he wants to do the independent contractor thing, that's fine. If you wanna fund his money for his insurance, that's fine as well. But the issue is, does he involve the park district in that venture? And my recommendation is no, it should be an independent contractor.
No, public comment was earlier, that's it, I'm sorry. We're gonna wrap this up. So we've already discussed this, and we do have 3 options. Bob, do you want to?
You guys have the options in front of you.
We have 3 options that are available to us that we can decide
Or you
on
can
as
table it and
a
direct people
board.
to go back and look for further. if you think that's what you
I don't see that we have any need to go back and look any further. There are 3 options available to us. This is to be decided upon. There's nothing, we have all of the information in front of us. We have our chief's recommendation, we have our attorney's recommendation, we have our insurance company who will not provide the insurance for us.
But does Terry's insurance, I saw the policy, and it doesn't include the park district.
It does not.
I followed
It
that,
does
and
not.
that's what I was saying.
It
I
will,
followed that.
and is it?
In our procurement,
They could list us as
They could
additionally
list
insured
us
if the Dermot
additionally
and the
insured.
legal accepted. It's going to be based on ratings and how that policy does.
However, we have to question why our procurement, our own insurance. That's the biggest issue that I see. And if our own insurance is not going to cover things, that's what we really need to question.
Do we know why that's the case?
Because it's not something that's viable.
The way the villages get through it, and Chief, I'll look to you on this one because you're the one that explained it to me.
Sorry.
Is through the continuum of force, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So the way the
That's correct.
villages
What,
get
wait, say it again?
continuum of force.
I'm no different than using the taser that the IRMA, which is the different village insurance that they have. That's our understanding, based on the chief speaking to the other chiefs in the area that have also offered use of any dogs in the area for us as well.
You know, folks, with the outpouring of the community, there's no need to rush this. I'd like to have the full insurance assessment with the option and the procurement review or the attorney's review. With the right receipt that you said that would include the insurance. All right. So then, do we have an option here that incorporates that in terms of?
Once again, it goes down to that number 3, the
Where he goes from the
contractor. Because you have to look beyond.
Yeah, I'm not looking at that.
That's what I would do right now.
That's what I'm trying to say, is taking directly on that.
No, I see that. But I'm saying that I think there should be a way to sort out to where that the type of operation that Officer Kaminski has been performing in terms of being able to use the dog in uniform, to be able to use the dog with the Park District identity, the community service, the calls to all the other Round Lake communities and even the broader Lake County community. How do we make that work? That the way he's been operating now, how do we figure that out?
I think that the recommendations from our attorney as an independent contractor is the only way to do it.
I don't buy that.
Well, I'm looking at it as a liability issue. It's a huge liability whether we're talking the dog or Terry. If Terry is out in Island Lake and finding guns and gets shot in Island Lake, we're responsible for him because he's out there as a Round Lake Area Park District employee. You're setting up a liability for him to be injured somewhere that he's not performing a job specific for the Round Lake Area Park District.
But are we confusing law enforcement where one of our rangers would be trying to pursue suspects versus pursuing evidence? And I'm getting confused between the two. I'm drawing a pretty simple straight line differentiation between searching for evidence or people and performing law enforcement activities. Maybe one of the officers can comment on some public comment, but there's in my simple mind there's a distinct difference.
His dog is trained to do both. So if he's called out to do...
Dog is trained to search for weapons or search for people.
Right.
My point, I guess, in this liability, which again, I take the differ, I'm not an attorney, but if you call the officer out for support, to go help me find evidence, that's different than we are in active pursuit of a suspect.
Well, but it's in our community,
It's in our community.
though, right? It's in our community.
We can't
Because if
control
he's
what
injured in
happens.
Island Lake, if he's injured catastrophically.
Thank you, ladies.
In Island Lake,
That's our responsibility.
that's our responsibility.
And it's not
Not
our
Island Lake's
jurisdiction.
responsibility. So when our officers are called out for search or whatever, they're in our district.
Something happens.
If something happens, we understand that liability.
So when a Round Lake Beach officer goes into Round Lake,
Well, they have mutual agreements,
all right,
intergovernmental agreements with each other for
Mutual aid.
crossing the border,
all right,
mutual aid.
is there, Chief, when one of our officers goes into a non-tax-paying Round Lake Park District community to provide support, do they
go?
So if they go outside of, if they go into Gray's Lake,
Are you asking, is there general coverage?
Yes, sir.
Yes, there is.
okay, so I'm confused at why that wouldn't have the same type of bearing for Officer Kaminski. If he's in that capacity, again, not in a enforcement, but he's in the capacity of searching, and he gets hurt, why wouldn't we have that same mutual agreement in place?
Probably a question you should pose to our attorney.
Yeah, you'd have to ask him.
So my point is, let's, if I can, let's not rush. Again, these fine people have invested their personal time, their passion. We represent them. We represent Thomas. We represent those other 11 kids, 9 kids. We owe it to them to fully sort this out. There's no need to rush this. So I'd like to figure out the answer to that question. And let's run this by Mr. Simon, Adam again, at $400 an hour. Let's run it by him again. Oh, you get a deal?
He's our attorney also.
That's what I guess. I think we owe it to our constituents.
I think it's a good idea to look at it, but I would also like to remind you that our constituents would be the first ones that are going to be calling us if an incident happens. If there is something that happens to one of their children, not that it would be, I mean, whether it's in the pool or whether it's at a park, the first person to call you because of liability is someone that's injured or hurt on Park District property. And until this liability is sorted out, it's no different than if someone came to a pool. We have no coverage right now if something happened with that dog and Terry. That's my concern. My concern as a risk manager myself, my concern is that if something happens, God forbid, not that it would, but something could happen. Something really could happen that would hurt someone or injure someone. And there's no coverage for Terry. There's no coverage for us. And in this day and age, people pick up the phone immediately and want to know who's going to pay for that. And that is my big concern. My concern is not where the money's coming from, how to pay for it, but there is no liability coverage right now. And that is huge, huge.
Got it. So the sun may
If I
not
could
come
add
up tomorrow
something.
either, but I'm sorry. But the gentleman, the gentleman that offers his time and training, I think clearly explained the difference between taking Fido out for a walk and in terms of the officer's interaction with the dog. So
I believe him. I don't think anything's going to happen, but when I think in my job, when I think nothing's going to happen, I get a phone call the next morning from a parent who says, my child was injured. What are you going to do about it? And that is exactly what we could get here to. The decision, but my concern is in the meantime, by the time we talk to Mr. Simon again or get his referral or talk to Federma, is that something could happen. Will it happen? We can't say it's going to happen, but it could. Don't tell me that it can't happen. I believe the training, I believe in the dog, I believe in the handler, but things happen. This world is crazy. You all know that. And until we have this liability issue covered, I am not comfortable. And I'm worried for you. You know, I'm not worried just for the Park District and the residents of the Park District. I'm concerned for you, Terry.
Because
you
you
are
have
not
liability
liable
and you could lose your house.
I know.
So why don't we say, is there no other dog in the county that could search?
No.
That's why.
But you know what, you guys are supportive of it. There's a lot of people out there that don't give a darn about it.
Chief, at this
There-
point,
there are
his
people
car is
calling,
not
there
here.
are people
Is
calling
not-
all the time.
Okay. By this point, the car has been put back together again anyway.
Yeah.
Why don't
So
we-
he can't take the dog anyway,
Right.
so
Well,
it's
as
not an
a-
issue.
Could I just say,
Yeah.
first off, yes, you're, as of tonight.
Correct. It's a
As
non-issue.
of tonight, because there's so much concern about
That's
this.
right.
And Tim, just to clarify, what you were referring to is if Terry or myself goes to another community and we get involved in something and we wind up in litigation, yes, state law covers, we all take care of each other.
Right.
But in the case of the dog biting somebody, which is our main concern, and quite frankly, when I started this, I was comfortable, and the probability factor of it happening is a 1 maybe. But now, because there is so much concern, I do agree that insurance is an issue. I do. And so I agree with you. We do need insurance. I think the answers to insurance have been secured, and independent contractors is the way to go. But as of today, right now, we are done.
Right.
We're done. Unless you change the course. It's in your court. Okay?
We're not changing the course at this point, there's no
Very good.
insurance.
Right. I agree with you.
So the car's been put back, because the car, perfectly honest with you, the car had been changed anyway, so even if
Officer Kaminski was without, of course, without the dog, since he's not his partner anyway. We had one man down to begin with. If he was on duty, he could not put a person that he may have been arresting on his guard anyway in the car. The car was unusable, so.
Ma'am, we actually have mutual aid agreements where we call for a cover-up.
Well, perfect, and that's perfect, but now, at this point, it's a non-issue because the car is put back together, so. He can't take the dog out. So, until we get more information, that's a non-issue. It's done. Simple.
Are you guys actively looking for more information, or are you just sitting on your hands?
Do we look like we're sitting on
I'm
our
sorry.
hands? We listen to
Okay,
all
we're
the
done.
people.
We're done with this. We're gonna move on.
We're gonna get more information in regards to this information, and that's
The
it.
gentleman's comment is valid, and so this is to close this point out.
We will get more information in regards to the insurance information that you're requesting.
I just have a question. Are you gonna look every kid that goes missing, their parents in the eyes and tell them that you're the reason their kid has no hope of being found? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on.
All right, next item,
Wellness
Wellness Gateway, Lake County Department of Transportation. What you will find there is some,
Thank you, everybody.
some